Hello beautiful people, this is your girl Favor and you're welcome to my channel. If this is your first time seeing my face or any of my videos, please make sure to subscribe and be sure to click the bell to get notifications whenever I post new videos. And to my returning subscribers, thank you very much for always returning. I love you all. So today we are discussing something quite interesting and has a personal note to it because it's something I've gone through. But come to think of it, everything I discuss on this channel is quite personal or has a personal note to it because I have one way or another gone through it or experienced it or encountered it, however you want to say it. Okay, so and today's topic is managing expectations. So without wasting much of our time, let's get right to this video. Expectations are important because they are the things that help us to set goals. They are the things that help us to, set standards for ourselves. Expectations in very healthy doses are good, and expectations in unhealthy doses are bad. So there is bad expectation and there is good expectation. And there is an expectation that you have of yourself, or expectations that you have of yourself, and there are also expectations that others have of you and you have of others, because like I said, expectations are very important. And the thing is, expectations are very much present in our everyday life, whether you like it or not. Like, if you live your life without expectation, are you living really? That you are not really living, because that means you don't have a goal, you don't have standards. And what is life without goals? What makes your life interesting? What makes your life worth living if you don't have something you are looking out for, if you don't have something that you are expecting, or how do I put it, if there is nothing that you are hoping for? Yeah, life is going to be pretty boring for that person. So expectations are ingrained in our everyday lives. And the thing is, as we have expectations of others and others have expectations of us and we have expectations of ourselves, if we don't appropriately manage them, trust me, these expectations are going to run your life. I am speaking from experience because I let expectations run my life for the longest time. I let people's expectations, my own expectations of myself, run my life. And trust me, it can get pretty bad. That to the point you would lose yourself, you would lose your self-esteem, you would lose your self-worth, you would lose your entire self if you don't manage expectations appropriately. So, on how to manage expectations, because that's what today's video is about, is managing expectations. The first thing I'd like to say, or I'd like to let you know, is give yourself time. I had to learn that the hard way. Give yourself time to analyze or process the expectations that you have of yourself. Are they realistic? The expectations that others have of you, are they realistic expectations? Because trust me, we can have quite a number of times unrealistic expectations and we are pursuing them, thereby wasting our time, our energy, wasting a lot of things, resources, you understand? So some expectations can be unrealistic. That is why you must give yourself time to process that or those expectations that you have of yourself and the ones that others have of you. Process it and know, is it worth going after? These expectations that I have of myself, these expectations that people have of me, is it worth it? Is it unrealistic? Is it something that is attainable? All things are possible through Christ who strengthens us. But yes, all things are possible, but some things are quite unnecessary. Some expectations that we pursue with all our might and everything, they are quite unnecessary. They actually make things, or they make our lives hard, or I don't know how to put it, but they are unrealistic expectations and they are unnecessary expectations. That's just it. And until you analyze an expectation, you can't tell if it is unrealistic or realistic or necessary or unnecessary. That is why you must take time to analyze that. Yes, a lot of people will say maybe it's because you like to analyze things. What brought me to analyzing things a lot is because I had let things, expectations especially, run my life. I wasn't really processing expectations. I was just, okay, this person expects this of me, I try to do it. The other person, I expect this of myself, I try to do it. I never really sat down to process it until it started running my life. I had to come to that point where I talk to myself. You can't please everybody every time. No matter how much you try, you cannot please everybody every time. You can't even please yourself every time. So just imagine if you can't please yourself every time. Do you now think you can please every other person every time? Everybody has what they expect you to do, but you can't base your life on that or on those. You can't. It will make your life pretty hard. Really hard, actually. I had to come to that point where I had to learn to process, take time to process expectations, to process things, because it helps you differentiate the necessary from the unnecessary, the unrealistic from the realistic, the useful from the useless. So please make sure that you take time to process and analyze that or those expectations that you have of yourself and that others have of you, and even the ones that you have of others, because we also can have pretty unrealistic expectations of others. So we have to be considerate and analyze it before we put it on them. Analyze it, take time to analyze it, and then also in that period or time of analyzing and processing, find out what it will take you to meet these expectations. The next thing to do in order to manage expectations is to communicate. In every I think in everything we do in this life, communication is really important. Communicate your expectations to people, those that you have expectations of. Communicate those expectations to them in order to forego disappointments and unnecessary assumptions, because a lot of times we believe or we think they should know. We assume that they know the expectations that we have of them. Therefore, at the end of the day, we get disappointed because they did not meet those expectations. But did you tell them? Did you communicate what you expected of them to them? Did you, if you have expectations of me, if you expect me to do some things and you don't communicate it or them to me, how am I going to know that these are the things you expect me to do? How am I even going to know if it is possible? How do you know if it is possible for the person that you expect something of to do it? It might be something that is not possible for that person at that time that you expect it. So you must communicate your expectations to those that you expect those things of. That way you can forego a lot of disappointments and unnecessary assumptions, like I said initially. Communicate. It is very important. We have expectations in different areas of our lives: relationships, work environment, parenting. We have at every stage or area of our lives, there are expectations, and we must communicate those expectations if you want them to be met right, or if you want to understand the stand of that person, to know if it is even possible for that person to meet the expectations. So the next thing to do in order to manage expectations is not being too hard on yourself. Seriously, cut yourself some slack. You are not going to meet every expectation. You're not going to meet every goal that you set. Things can change on you. But you must learn not to be too hard on yourself. You must learn not to see yourself as a failure just because you did not meet an expectation that you had of yourself, or an expectation or expectations that people had of you. Because life happens. Instead of seeing yourself as a failure just because you didn't meet that expectation, look at it this way. Okay, I've learned a new way not to do this. I believe we've all heard that. Don't count yourself a failure just because you did not meet an expectation. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't emotionally beat yourself just because you did not meet an expectation. Yes, be remorseful about it, but then don't let it run you. Don't let it waste your time. Don't let it weigh you down. And that brings me to another thing to do. Learn to adapt to change. Things can change upon you. Things can change upon you. Like I said before, life happens. So you have set goals. You have put expectations on yourself and on others. But you must understand that life happens, that things can change. So learn to adapt to change easily, fast. So because plan A did not work, are you going to kill yourself? Change fast. Change strategy, change method, whatever you need to change, adapt to that, adapt to change. Learn that things can change. There's a saying that change is the only constant thing. So if as a human being you can't change, are you really a full human being? But seriously, you must learn to adapt to change in order to manage our expectations, in order to manage expectations that we put on ourselves and expectations that we put on others. We must understand that, like I said before, life happens. So make sure to learn to adapt to change. Don't be too stiff. Don't be too rigid. It must be this way. If it didn't work out that way, what are you going to do? You will keep pressing? No, you will not. So if you don't know how to adapt to change, learn to adapt to change. The last but not the least is try to understand people's background, because this would help you to know what to expect of them and what they expect of you. Because a lot of times the expectations that we place on people and expectations that people place on us are stemmed, or they take their roots from the experiences that they've had, the beliefs that they have. But if you do not understand this, you might misunderstand where they are coming from. You might misunderstand the expectation that they have of you. So if you understand that people's expectations and your expectations are informed by your experiences and your beliefs, it would help you to rid yourself of unnecessary disappointment. It would help you to rid yourself of unnecessary hatred, because some of the hatred that we see come from expectations that were not met. So you must understand people's background. You must understand where someone is coming from, and also understand, if I have an expectation of this person, where is this expectation coming from? What is informing this expectation? So with that, we've come to the end of this video. Please make sure to give me a thumbs up, and in the comment section below, let's continue this discussion. What are the things you have done and are still doing to manage expectations? And like I said before, if you've not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and the bell to get notifications whenever I post new videos, and make sure to watch all my other videos if you have not watched them. Until my next video, bye.